Authorities in South Africa's Western Cape province are fearing an ecological disaster following the worst fires attacked in the region in the last 30 years. Local government has spent R1 million to combat the fires, which have begun to pose a threat to the wine-producing area of Paarl. Joining us now from Cape Town to discuss the economic impact of the fire in the Western Cape is Nils Flatten. He's the CEO of Westgrow. Mr. Flatten, thank you so much for coming to us here on Beyond Markets. A huge investment, or rather threat to investment. What can be done to minimize these fires? Do we have the necessary infrastructure in place to actually minimize the kind of damage that we see when fires of this nature breaks out?
Yeah, I do think we do have the infrastructure, and I do think we have the plan in place. You know, we've had 10 fires, major fires in the Western Cape in the last week and a half. 6 of them have been contained, 4 of them are on high alert. We've had over 26 helicopters in there, and this ranges from bombers to spotter planes and to helicopters. And of course, we've had the necessary crews on site as well through the Working on Fire program. We've just had all of these fires at one stage, and we're a little bit stretched at the moment. So we're currently recycling new teams in from the other provinces, and we've had great support from them. We're bringing in teams from the Northwest, KwaZulu-Natal, and the Eastern Cape. So it's really the stress on the humans at the moment.
Yeah.
But of course, going forward, we do budget for these sort of incidences, and now we've spent, at current spending, over R1 million. We don't know what the final cost is, but there definitely is going to be an impact on the provincial fiscus.
Before we get to the fiscus, let's talk about what has been called an ecological disaster. Of course, you know, it's very difficult in the initial stages to put money to what kind of impact that would have in the long run, particularly if you're talking about, you know, the kind of soil that you require for that wine, region. What is the ecological impact of this kind of fire, and what are the economic implications thereof?
Well, first of all, we've lost about 72,000 hectares of land in the Western Cape and about 9,000 in Franschhoek alone. So this is a combination of veld and then also the agricultural area. So typically what happens with the fynbos species, you could handle a fire every 15 years. But for us now, some of this fynbos is between 8 and 12 years old. So that will have an ecological impact, a very, very negative one. We've also had to draw on certain inland water resources to be able to fight the fires. And that's critical. Keeping our dam levels up high is important. I think we've been quite fortunate with these set of fires that it has been mostly in the veld area, although it has spilled over into the agricultural sector. And in Franschhoek, we had some fire damage on 2 farms, and we lost 2 houses. So it's really about the environment, and we've been able to contain it and prevent it from coming onto the agricultural farms in the urban areas.
Now, talk to us about the potential impact in economic terms for the region. What kind of figures are you able to guesstimate at this stage that fires like this will have on, business within this area?
Well, I think it's far too early to put a number on it. I mean, there's really 3 levels to the economic cost. The first one is how much it cost us to move this huge operation fighting fires in multiple jurisdictions. And we've had to draw on resources such as the South African Air Force, the South African Police Services, the Navy's been involved, and many other volunteer groups. So really we'd have to count it, what's the total cost of mobilizing this force? The second thing is obviously the loss of the environment, farmland, and people. Unfortunately, 1 person has perished in one of the fires. But of course, the interruption to economic activity in areas such as Franschhoek, you've got these vast fire clouds and smoke clouds. So the farmers haven't been able to get out there and harvest many of their products which need to come off the orchards, get packed and go overseas. And also it's been a disruption to general economic activity and tourism as well. We haven't been able to move normal tourists through there. So we'll have to go back to the board and tally up these numbers and have a look at it.
Now, of course, Franschhoek is known for its tourism. It's known for the kind of hospitality industry as well. Are you dealing with concerns around safety? What are your businesses that are geared toward tourism in that industry, or rather in that region, telling you what are the concerns of potential tourists, and how are businesses coping with it?
Well, I think firstly we must say that the fire has been contained, although we're on high alert. There's 2 flanks towards Franschhoek town itself which are currently burning, and the fire is slowly progressing towards the De Tooikloof tunnel. So it's not going to affect any houses or any farms But obviously the disruption creates uncertainty. So particularly with the tourism authorities, what we've tried to do is get the message out there that Franschhoek is open, that all of its local attractions are running, and we're using the normal media, traditional media on that, but we've also started pushing a lot of messages into social media. So really it's about getting the message out there and getting people back into Franschhoek and letting them carry on doing what they do very well.
As a final question, what is the kind of immediate plans? Where are we moving next? You've said you've contained the fire, you've put mechanisms in place, but just give us the immediate outlook for the area. Are you optimistic that the worst is over?
It's a difficult question to answer. We know that the weather forecast for the next few weeks is telling us we're going to have very low levels of humidity and very high temperatures, and these are conducive to fires, particularly caused by lightning, as we've seen in Stanford Amarnis and in the Cederberg. So we're urging all landowners and citizens to be vigilant. I think the authorities need a break here. Our teams are exhausted, hence us having to draw on the other provinces. We can continue the fight, but we'd like a break now. And obviously, as part of everything that we do through the Provincial Disaster Management Centre, there is a wash-up, and we do look at how we can become more efficient, how we can keep the lines of communication clear, and also resulting in fighting the fires, killing them, keeping the roads open, and allowing people to go about on their normal business. So we need the break, and we'll go back to the drawing board.